As I said a minute or two ago, I shall have a couple of chuckles for you. Listen carefully. The census taker was going through the neighborhood door to door, armed with his pad and paper and pen and authentication as a census taker. Halfway down the block, he came to the home of Mrs. Jones. When she answered the door, he introduced himself and proceeded to go through his list of questions. She cooperated until the question of her age. But everyone else told me their age, the census taker said. So, Mrs. Jones replied, did Edith Hill and Mary Hill next door tell you how old they were? Oh, yes, they did, answered the census taker. Then I'm the same age. Okay, he said, putting pen to paper, he wrote down, I'll put down as old as the hills. Okay. A little boy was attending his sister's wedding. As he was going down the aisle, he would take 2 steps, stop, and turn to the crowd, alternating between the bride's side and the groom's side, while facing the crowd. He would put his hands up like claws and roar. So it went, step, step, claw, roar, all the way down the aisle. Of course, the crowd was in tears, laughing. When asked later what he was doing, he replied, well, I was being the ring bearer. That's enough for this morning, okay? You have to be, with it. Any announcements for the good of the church? Interestingly enough, I don't know whether you've seen the latest from the United Church of Canada, but you and I are in the same region. Our presbytery here, Shining Waters, is in with Kawartha Lakes Presbytery as well. So we are no longer a renegade pastoral charge because we're in the same boat. And we're in Region 12, if anybody's interested. And that goes quite a distance in Ontario. There are about 14 regions just within the province of Ontario, which of course is kind of frightening in a way, because they're doing away with all the presbyteries if it's passed in General Council in July, and we become regions, and of course the assessments to support the region will go one way, as everything else seems to these days, and that's up. And so we have to watch the finances at that time. But we'll just have to wait and see. I don't understand, quite frankly, why they say the remits were passed when I know full well that at least several churches that I am familiar with did not pass the remit about the region. So I don't see how they can say everybody passed when we didn't pass. That sounds like alternate facts to me, which should remind you of somebody else. What is convenient is what happens. Anyway, let us move into worshiping our good Lord this morning. Let us start our service of worship. As we now adore you, and with awe appear before you, here in this your temple, all within keep silence, gather now with deepest reverence. You alone, God, we own. You are God and Savior. Praise your name forever. Oh, come, let us worship our God, praising him for all his goodness and wonderful works to our children.
For he satisfies the longing soul and fills the hungry soul with goodness. Truly we are blessed when we hunger and thirst after righteousness, for we shall be filled.
Our opening hymn of praise is number 334. All hail the power of Jesus' name. 334.